In today's ugly news, we're going to be talking about where Rosie Huntington-Whiteley stands with her brand Rose Inc., a rather messy doctor from TikTok, and when is too much PR for influencers too much? Rosie Huntington-Whiteley has stepped down from her brand Rose Inc. after launching the brand back in 2018. A lot of people are actually very familiar with the brand Rose Inc., but don't actually realize the brand was co-created and owned by Rosie Huntington-Whiteley. Now, we heard last year that Amaris, who owned Rose Inc., alongside other beauty brands that you may be familiar with, like JVN Hair and Biossance, were auctioning off their brands after filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And that was August of 2023. And in December of 2023, Rose Inc. was bought by a company called AA Investments, and they bought Rose Inc. for 2.5 million, and I believe they're based in Hong Kong. A few of the other brands were auctioned off and bought as well, which is nice to know because a lot of these brands were quite popular, doing really well for themselves, loved by many, so it's nice to see them get a new lease of life. However, this wasn't great news for the model and founder of Rose Inc., Rosie Huntington-Whiteley herself, as she took to Instagram in a now deleted post to announce that she basically no longer wanted to be or was going to be part of this brand. But her wording makes it sound like something wasn't right. In the deleted Instagram post, she says, "In 2018, I founded Rose Inc. with a vision to foster a beauty community and create exceptional products in line with my values and beliefs. However, due to significant changes within the business, I made a considered decision to step down from the brand. The brand is now under new ownership, and moving forward, I am no longer involved or affiliated with its operations, products, or promotional activities. Authenticity and integrity are paramount to me in any business endeavor on which I embark, and therefore it is time for me to close this chapter and pursue new adventures." In my opinion, that bit there kind of signals there may be a few different reasons as to why she left. One, she just simply didn't get along with the new company, right? They weren't a good fit. Two, what I feel is more likely is that in order to make this brand more profitable for the new owners of the brand, they may have to steer away from the ethics and priorities that Rosie wanted for the brand. I can't say her full name. I'm going to pretend we're besties and call her Rosie. When the brand first launched in 2018, I remember all the interviews, and you can tell this was way before like all these celebrity brands were launching, right? You can tell that she was fully into this brand. Like, this was her baby. She knew everything. She wasn't just media trained. She knew everything that was going on behind this brand because it was her brand. She wasn't just a celebrity face attached to this brand name. And when she talked about skincare in particular, actually, you could tell she was talking from her own experience with the products, with her career as a model, what products she loved, what she didn't. She knew how ingredients worked. She knew what to do, what not to do. You know, she wasn't just well trained in what to say. This was her. This was everything she knew and lived and loved. Live, love, love. There are certain aspects of this brand that I don't align with, as far as like their clean language, you know, this idea that safe products have to be made in a particular type of way, you know, organic, whatever. But it still was a big part of who the brand were. Rosie in interviews said that, you know, she was very meticulous when it came down to everything from where the ingredients were sourced, right down to the packaging, how the products were delivered through this packaging. And I feel like this is maybe why she doesn't want to be part of the brand anymore. I feel as though in order to make this brand now profitable to the new owners, then maybe they had to cut some corners somewhere. Maybe the way it was being ran before was a little bit more expensive, and to make more investments or more profit, they've had to maybe dial back on a few things that Rosie thought were really important and fundamental to the brand and her vision for the brand and the ethics of the brand. The time, the effort, the passion that went into this brand on her behalf, they must be doing something that she really doesn't agree with in order for her to abandon her baby, essentially. Let me know what you think. It doesn't sound like she's moving on to a new venture. It sounds like she felt like she had no choice but to. I feel like every week we are talking about a healthcare professional, a skin professional, or somebody with a doctor title doing something messed up on TikTok. In this case, maybe even illegal. I'm going to be doing this a lot in this story. Dr. Mess is an alleged doctor over on TikTok. However, her bio does currently say she's a med student. Remember that. She is part of this influx of doctors or people wearing lab coats and scrubs whose main talent is pointing at pictures of blurry skin conditions that they found on Google and giving usually vague and incorrect information regarding a skin condition they are barely able to properly diagnose. Dr. Mess in particular has been called out on TikTok before by scientists, dermatologists, and other people in the skincare field for promoting a lot of misinformation. And in general, it's not just misinformation, it's absolute bullshit. One of her more popular, I should say infamous videos, says that you can get acne or some form of skin condition if you shower with a toilet seat lid up. Now, whilst many derms and scientists stitch this and debunk this bizarre advice, it was John Dombrowski's video from last year that caught my attention.
First of all, as a scientist, I can tell you that is factually incorrect. Plenty of dermatologists have also said the same thing. But also, she's not a doctor. Fully, if you go to her Instagram bio, it says med student. And in some places like California, it's actually either illegal or like a civil issue if you call yourself a doctor and you are a med student. So just boggles my mind that someone does this. So please make sure that you do your due diligence before listening to any idiot with a phone.
Now, according to the Medical Defense Union, whilst the term doctor on its own is not a protected title, the Medical Act of 1983 prohibits falsely giving the impression that you are registered with the GMC with a license to practice. This is particularly true if you are using the title in a context where your medical experience or skills are being relied upon. For example, giving medical advice on TikTok. To avoid this, it is safest to wait until you are registered with the GMC before using the doctor title. So this is the UK. Based on the UK. However, it's pretty much the same law all across the world. After this, I kind of forgot about her for, in my head, oh, another dodgy doctor, whatever. As I mentioned, she's one in a million of these dodgy doctors that point at things and like wobble their head, you know? And it wasn't until Dr. Angelo Landricina posted this video on his TikTok that she sprung back into my head. Now, this was a comment Dr. Mess left on Dermangelo's TikTok in reply to him critiquing an influencer's skincare routine.
Hello, Dr. Mez. Fancy seeing you here. I swear, this is not going to become just like a skincare roast channel. It's just when one of the biggest perpetrators of misinformation and scare tactics for clout on TikTok comes for me. We're gonna do a deep dive. I think she kind of became obsessed with me or developed a vendetta after I responded to her video. POV, you shower when the toilet lid is up. She tried to, I think, insinuate that if you shower with your toilet open, that it gives you acne. If you really are a doctor, and you have any understanding of the pathophys of acne, you will know that this is not a thing. I tried to look into her credentials a little bit, and you'll see on her profile, her name is Doctor, but she says that she's a medical student. If you click on her link tree, it says that she's a medical intern, which I don't know what country she's in, but in the US here, that would insinuate that you're a doctor in residency. So, I mean, I don't know, Dr. Mez, you could probably fill us in on that, but there was no way to find your full name to look up your credentials. So jury's out on if you're a doctor at all. Anyway, she was really annoyed about this and made some like angry post about it and said, oh, this dermatologist, with a photo of me in a corset, you know, you could have picked my headshot, but you picked this one. And I think your intent is clear. You're trying to discredit me, and it kind of smacks of homophobia a little bit. She then goes on to use social media posts from influencers as like justification of her point, including, oh, how many likes this video got? That's not science. That's not a citation. The whole idea doesn't make sense, and you're not backing it up in any way. She goes on to say that I thrive on ignorance and deliberately making women feel bad about their skin. Miss Girl is obsessed with scaring people about toilet seats specifically. Like, there's a lot of posts about this is what you can get from toilet seats. There's no citations for the images, so like this could be psoriasis. You don't get psoriasis from a toilet seat. That doesn't make any sense. Like, this is fearmonger. Like, again, this is like a random image that could be so many things, but like, oh, let's scare people off of sitting on a toilet. Her account is filled with this stuff, just trying to scare people off of normal things without giving any explanation. So you use hair conditioner in the shower. POV, you wash your face with your hands, and this is supposed to scare people. You face the water in the shower, or talk about like really specific things and try to scare people by generalizing them. Like, your diet is high in nickel. If you don't have nickel allergy, you don't have to worry about this. And even a lot of most people with nickel allergy don't even have to worry about that. So like, why are you talking about it? I mean, I could go on and on. Your zinc level is low. There is such a thing as zinc deficiency. However, this is Hailey Bieber. Does she have zinc deficiency? Do you know that? Are you her doctor? I felt that this really brought up a good point about the appeal to authority. This person's supposed to be a medical professional of some kind. I can't verify that. Why would she be doing this? She doesn't really seem to take many sponsorships. She's not attracting patients to a clinic. Like, was it just for clout? The only partnership that I could find, which seems to be like a very long-lasting and entrenched one, is with this company Magic Healer. If you look into this company, they're selling these salves that make really wild claims, like their products are treatments for a whole host of medical conditions, including hidradenitis suppurativa, which is something that's really debilitating and I mean is a medical condition. These are sold in the US, and I just want y'all to know the claims that they're making about this, acne, etc. These are not drugs, so what they're doing is illegal. So what can we learn here? Firstly, don't believe everything that you see on social media. I think one of the things that this creator and others have tapped into is that you could very easily go viral by giving people like vague, shocking information that they feel like affects their lives. And I think that for her content, that's why so much of it is vague or either like twisted to make things seem like they're big, really common problems when either A, they don't exist, or B, they're like very specific cases that the average person does not need to worry about. Second, check your sources. I mean, is this person a medical professional? I don't know. I have no idea, and there's no way to verify it. There are plenty of us online. Derms, other doctors, cosmetic chemists, estheticians that you can verify that we're qualified. Like me, you could literally go online and look up my medical license. I'm not trying to hide. You have all my degrees. You have my full name. Like, not every like seeming authority figure has the authority. Like, I'm still left with a lot of questions. Let me just say, if she's a medical student, like, she needs to stay in school, please. That also brings me to another point. Not every authority figure is going to be right about everything. And it's not always a case of, you know, this, where they're like being intentionally misleading. Sometimes we're just wrong about things, where new information comes out. Like for me, when I get corrected on something, I love it. I learned something new. I don't go on a tirade and try to assassinate the character of the person that tried to correct me. Especially in this way, which I felt like was like in poor taste. And again, I felt that there was homophobic intent here. So, Dr. Mez, if you haven't blocked me already, I would love some sort of response or explanation. The ball's in your court.
So let's quickly list the issues we have here. Not a doctor, yet, but still potentially breaking the law, using a doctor title, and pretty much diagnosing and giving medical advice online without a disclaimer that this is not medical advice. 2, possibly homophobic. And I have more to this claim as well. 3, generally full of shit. Now, I actually had a bit of back and forth with Dr. Mess. I had some spare time on my hands. I was bored. I thought I'd reply to some comments. But unfortunately, she blocked me before I could screenshot the replies. Now, I commented on Dr. Angelo Langicina's video, just showing a little support, because what a dick move, right? And she commented back basically saying how I was supporting devil activity because he wore a corset, and that she didn't want to see my face anymore. So I was like, it's too late. You're going to be seeing a lot more of me. And so are the companies you work for. Now, I noticed she worked for and promotes a skincare brand, and of course she does. Why give factual, scientifically sound advice when you use fear-mongering tactics, outlandish videos, and diagnosis to build up an audience, then in order to sell a product that I believe she profits from? Dr. Mess worked for a brand called My Magic Salve. Look at her, all chipper, looking professional in what appears to be a set. Before I get into what I'm about to say, I just want to let you know that this brand is actually decent looking. I contacted them and we had a really good chat about all of it, all this situation going on, but a bit more about that later. And they have some genuinely happy customers and some really great looking before and afters, which I did reverse Google search. I tried to find if they were fake before and afters, but all the reviews and the before and afters seemed genuine. I checked reviews away from their website, people who weren't gifted the product, and they seem to have a very dedicated following. So whilst the all natural side of skincare isn't for me, this brand is working for a lot of people. In these videos, you see Dr. Mess talking about this skincare product in particular, and in my opinion, using language that a doctor, Future Doctor shouldn't really be using, like works like magic. She even suggests that people should avoid surgery for quite serious skin conditions, saying in fact to use magic salve in place of medical advice. Now, this whole YouTube channel is about the brand itself, which is absolutely fine. Brands have YouTube channels, it's common day practice, right? But it's slightly strange to have a doctor offering what is essentially medical advice around a skincare product with no claim that this is not medical advice, which she cannot do on the internet. I spoke to the brand regarding this situation, who told me about the history of their brand, which I think you should pause to read because it's actually really, really interesting. I think all brands need to start with some kind of like personal story, especially when they're like natural healing remedies. And when I made them aware about the situation playing out on TikTok and the fact that Dr. Mess is potentially using the doctor title illegally, her problematic language and unprofessional behavior, I asked them, is this the type of person that you want your brand to be associated with? Is this what your brand's values are too? And this is their reply. They did say, please note, we do not claim to cure any medical conditions. We have a clearly outlined disclaimer under our product pages and product labels that products are not FDA approved and are not meant to cure, treat, or diagnose medical conditions. We are a natural skin healing company that offers natural skin healing products. Fair enough. Let me now address the collaboration with Mess. In September 2023, we began working with Mess as our YouTube host to provide valuable information for those struggling with problematic skin. It's important to note that outside of our YouTube collaboration, we do not oversee Mess's external activities. Due to recent incidents, we have decided to terminate our partnership with Mess. Thank you for your understanding. That's great. I like to see brands that are accountable. I mean, why would they risk all their hard work, all their happy customers, who will be a broad spectrum of people, by associating with somebody who is potentially breaking the law and allegedly homophobic? Now, this was the 27th of April 2024, so as of writing this video 2 weeks ago and as of posting 3 weeks ago, she has been removed from their website. There was a whole team section, so they did just kind of get rid of that whole team section instead. And as of writing this video, she has been in 4 or 5 more YouTube videos, so I did just want to double check with the brand, make sure they weren't just hiding her from me, because I'll be checking. But I did say, if this brand works as social media, like 99% of people that work on social media, their content is probably filmed a good month to 2 months in advance. I did reach out for just a final comment before filming this video, and they have in fact severed ties with her, but they are just fulfilling her contract, notice period, whatever, and they do pre-film content. It's nice to see a brand actually take accountability and really have their consumers' best interest at heart as well. I don't think with these natural brands you need a doctor to push your ideology, to push your ethos. The great thing about natural brands is people like them because they are home remedies. So you can have the brand founders simply talking about this stuff. You can have clients, customers talking about this stuff. So my takeaways from this, as always, is just because somebody's in a lab coat or wearing scrubs and is telling you something, and now even has the title doctor, don't believe every word that comes out of their mouth. Someone actually left a comment, I'm gonna get this wrong, but they left a comment on a previous video of mine, and it was something like, what do you call the person who graduated bottom of their class? Doctor. Or something like that. Basically saying not all doctors are the same, but that's throughout every job. It just so happens to be in healthcare as well. Also, you expect your healthcare providers and professionals to always have their clients, their customers, their patients' best interest at heart, no matter how they identify, no matter who they are, no matter their sexuality, race, gender, whatever, or how they dress on their days off. It shouldn't matter to them. When a professional makes backhanded, possibly homophobic comments on a public platform with no second thought or worry of the repercussions, it does make you wonder, what other groups of people are they prejudiced against? Who else don't they like? Who else do they have an issue with? I don't know about you, but I don't want anyone who hates any type of group of people to be treating me in any type of way. And lastly, if a future doctor is willing to lie online, is willing to sensationalize things online, is willing to make up studies or purposely misconstrue studies in order to make a interesting piece of content, in order to become popular, in order to sell a product, what else are they willing to do to deceive? I don't trust them. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but let's spread this message. Let's block these people in lab coats and scrubs pointing at shit and not saying anything, who aren't adding context, who aren't speaking, who simply point at pictures at random skin conditions they Googled and spew absolute bullshit. Every time there is a comment on this video, I will be checking her activity. I will be checking the brand she's working with. I'll be checking the Magic Salve brand and making sure that they know exactly what she's been up to. So if you want to know what she's been up to, if you want to make sure I'm checking up on her, leave a comment. Did you see this absolutely insane PR being sent to influencers by Jisoo? If you don't know who Jisoo are, they are a hair care brand primarily, I believe, who are really known for their honey and propolis products. Let me tell you, their products are amazing. I've been gifted some of their stuff before. loved it so much that I bought it myself. Crazy, right? Their leave-in conditioner is amazing. You can leave it in, doesn't make your hair feel greasy. It's so, so nice. Well, they're under a little bit of scrutiny recently for their honestly quite ridiculous PR package sent to various influencers. Have a look at this. So they sent a handful of influencers a fridge filled with products and what looks like drinks, fruit, a few snacks in there as well. And this hit a bit of a nerve with a lot of people. And I do get the reasons why. Influencers recently are being called out for excessive overconsumption of beauty products, hoarding products that they can never possibly use up. I always say this, but it's part of the reason why I don't do like those my skincare collections, blah, blah, blah. And part of the reason why I do not have a dedicated room to my skincare anymore, because I am mortified to have anything more than like 3 or 4 drawers worth of product, despite it being my job, you know. It's just wasteful. Well, in this fridge, it looks like we have backups for some products, and then backups of those backups, and then mini versions of those backups. There's a lot of stock. And whilst I don't think Gisou are the biggest and baddest brand doing this, their PR I've usually received in padded envelopes, basic cardboard boxes, I think the reason this got so many people's attention is because it's a very good example of how ridiculous and potentially wasteful some PR packages can be. I mean, this is essentially a stock cupboard of their products, right? This is going to last them potentially years alongside all the other products that they need to use to review, which means it's going to go out of date, it's not going to get used up. A lot of people were worried that the fruit wasn't going to get eaten in particular, but look at how much attention this brand has gotten from this. Instead of paying the rates of these extremely popular influencers who they gifted the fridge to, they send some crazy over-the-top PR to them that the influencers can't help but post because they know it'll make great content for free, and now they have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of free PR. What I will say is, yes, brands do have a responsibility not to add to the extreme amount of waste created by the influencer industry. What I will say here in the UK is I get asked permission a lot, which is really, really good. A lot of PR brands, not so much the brands themselves, but PR companies, marketing, reach out and ask if I want the PR first of all. And sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's a no, but I also think brands have a responsibility to stop this as well. I personally feel like it's important to say no to a lot of stuff. Of course I want free stuff. It's my job to review skincare, right? And I know I always say this, but most influencers are registered as a business, and as a business you have business costs. So we can spend our own money on cosmetics for the sake of reviewing and promoting on YouTube, and that is a business cost. Sometimes I don't know what other people's business costs are, other than maybe just hiring a team around them. A lot of people review so much gifted stuff. I'm always like, in my business side of the brain, like, why are you not buying skincare or makeup or whatever and then reviewing that as a business cost? I also feel like doing that, people buying their own skincare, almost forces them to review it more because they spent their own business money on it, they spent their own money on it, so they want to review it, they want to use up the product, because when something's gifted, it's free, you're not necessarily even going to review it because it is just a gift, so it's more likely to go to waste in my opinion. Or you could do what actually many of these influencers who received the fridge is doing, like Ling, who received this fridge and is now holding a giveaway to give away the majority of this product.
I must be dreaming right now because I cannot believe my favorite brand Gisou sent me this incredible gift. This fridge was hand delivered to me from the team, bearing in mind they are from Stockholm, so I cannot believe they made so much effort to get this to my doorstep. Listen, lucky girl syndrome is a real thing, and I am so over the moon that Gisou sent me this, so thank you so much to Negan. Never in a million years would I think to receive such a beautiful gift, and I want to give 5 lucky winners to win the Gisou product. And of course the new viral lip oils, which side note is the best lip oil ever. To win these products, all you gotta do is follow me on TikTok and Instagram, tag 3 friends and comment why you want to win. I am going to hand select the winners, so good luck my loves.
I also think that this is a great way to also get brands more attention rather than just sending influencers something nice. Also, I don't think we care about influencers getting this big type of extreme gifting anymore. Like, I remember back in the day when YouTube first started, and even when I used to watch my favorite influencers and they would receive this big PR package from a brand who they've been non-stop talking about for 2 years, they would use one palette or one skincare product religiously, and the brand would kind of like thank them for that by sending them these huge, crazy PR packages, which back in the day used to be so interesting, and we'd be like, wow, and it's so happy for them. But the difference is those influencers would be using the same product year after year. You know, a viral product back then used to last for years and years and years, some even a decade. Nowadays, the need, actually, not just the want, but the need to push out content and push out products and new products, blah, 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 far outshadows that product's performance, longevity, long-term performance, and influencers' dedication to products. Again, back in the day, you used to be able to like link an influencer to a brand and be like, oh, that's a brand they always use. Whereas nowadays, that's not so much the case. And also, there are so many influencers nowadays. That's obviously not a bad thing. It's great that so many people can have this as a career option, but they all receive PR, so it's just not exciting. I was gonna say as a non-influencer, but it's not as exciting as a viewer to watch these people get free product, especially when everybody else in the world is struggling to buy the basics, you know? But always, as with ugly news, we have to finish on some beautiful things in the industry. A few announcements. Fleur is launching here in the UK in Space NK. Fleur had their iconic missing person fragrance amongst many others that I just want to smell. I'm desperate to smell. They're actually already in Selfridges here in the UK, but I feel Space NK is way more accessible to everyone. I feel like most people have a Space NK in a town or city close to them. Zillabu launches the first ever collector's gel polishes. I'm so excited for this one. Zillabu are an online Korean and Japanese gel polish store, and they're launching their own brand of gel polishes made in Korea called Gel Monster. It's the world's first collector's card, and with each gel polish, you'll get a collector's card. It's kind of Pokemon meets manicures, and I fucking love it. I think it's a great idea. As with many Korean gel brands, they are free from many known irritants and allergens in gel polishes such as HEMA, and is certified vegan. You know, when it comes to skincare, I'm not about like, oh, non-toxic, no nasties or that kind of stuff. But I think when it comes to gel polish, when something's so close to your skin that shouldn't be or shouldn't really touch your skin, it's important to lessen the potential of getting an allergic reaction. So I do love Korean and Japanese gel polishes for that in particular. But the colors have also been created using AI. I'd like to know more about this process, but I believe they've taken into factor like different trends, the most popular colors, things like that, to create a collection of colors that you will be able to use throughout many different trends for many years that many people like and want as well. I think that's what it is. I'll find out more. Let me know what you think about today's video in the comments down below. Any particular comments or any particular stories. You can watch the whole When Beauty Turns Ugly playlist here, some general light entertainment here, and I'll see you over there.